So I don't know if you guys, you know those guys that you date that everybody tells you is a bad idea to date them? I dated that guy. And not only did I date him, I married him. But before I married him, the reason people were telling me it was a bad idea to date him is not because there was anything wrong with him. On the contrary, he checked off all the boxes. He was smart, handsome, funny, interesting conversation, heart of gold, really like the ideal guy to date, except he was not gonna commit to any relationship. He was, that was his reputation, at least. And it was like a prescription for a heartache, right? Because why would you want to be with a perfect, quote unquote, perfect guy who checks off all the boxes only to then discover that he wouldn't commit to you? And as I was struggling with this and trying to figure out what I would do in order to not end up in heartbreak, I realized that I needed to be the change. In other words, I'm sure you guys have heard this from Gandhi, be the change. But what does that mean? In my relationship with my then boyfriend and now husband, I needed to be the change. I needed to lead with the thing I wanted from him, which was commitment. So I leaned all into that relationship. I took a leap of faith, a big leap of faith, and against all logic and against all recommendations from all the loving, well-meaning people around me. And I committed to this relationship, and I committed to seeing it through. I didn't hold anything back. And over time, he started to change. He started to feel my commitment. He started to feel my energy changing from expecting something of him that he may or may not have been ready to give to just being comfortable in my own skin, being comfortable in my level of commitment, being comfortable in leaping before the net appears. And it was scary, let me tell you. It was scary for a while. It was a huge risk, and I didn't know how it was going to turn out, but I jumped. And I said to myself, I need to trust that the net is going to appear. I need to trust that I am going to find the parachute and land on my 2 feet and not crash. And I did that. And there were many points or many intersections along the way where I questioned if that was the best choice. But I can tell you now, in hindsight of almost 20 years, that was life-changing for me on many levels. Not only because I ended up marrying my soulmate, but also because I ended up learning how to trust myself. I ended up learning how to take a risk at a time where, it seemed illogical to do that. But the risk was betting on myself. That was the lesson I learned. And so how does this relate to our parenting, and how does this relate to changing the paradigm from which we parent our children, which is around punishment and control and raising them to know right from wrong and to be a certain kind of person? There has to be a certain level of trust that you have in yourself and in your child. There has to be a commitment on your part to grow and develop as a human being and become a better person in order to also become a better parent. Now, we all know there's, when we are raising our children, there's a limited window of opportunity for us. It may seem long in the everyday, if you think about it, 18 years more or less is what we have living with our children. But really, it's not a long time. So if you are a parent to young children right now, know that this is your chance. Now is your time to set foundations, that will pay dividends for you your entire life with your children, because your relationship with them is going to continue well into their adulthood. And the level of connection that you foster with them now is going to reflect in how close you are when they leave the house, when they have choices.